Hello and welcome. You're watching FYI. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, there is one and only one word on everybody's mind today, and that is Pegasus. So, of course, FYI is here to decode that very simply for you on what exactly is Pegasus, what does it do, how it infects your phone, and are there, importantly, in our discussion, we'll try and find out other spywares like Pegasus out there that we don't even know about. Let's get started on this very basic information. With just a single text, sometimes a missed call, Pegasus can bypass your phone security and install a spy. A spy that will have complete access to your device, every message you have sent or received, every photograph, every video, every email on your phone, now in someone else's control. And it is not just pictures stored on your phone, but once inside your phone with complete access, it can hear you, it can track you in real time. All this control is in hands of somebody sitting far, far away across the globe at times. And the hacker can then communicate with the Pegasus spyware by the remote command center and issue directions for what information does it need from your phone, your server, your any device that it has infected. This is what makes Pegasus the most invasive form of surveillance possible. But what exactly does it do and how it does that? Let's try and explain that to you with a very simple animation. It is done in basically three highly sophisticated steps. Number one, for any spyware to infect your device, it needs an entry point. Now, gone are the days when you would be steering clear of suspicious emails or links, but now with a simple missed call, at times an iMessage, sometimes an SMS, WhatsApp, any vulnerable app. And these are apps, remember, not just that have you accept, there could be something inbuilt as well. All of these routes is what Pegasus uses with you not getting a hint of it, to actually infect your device. Once targeted, your phone is then technically called infected with Pegasus, and then the tracking begins. Tracking which will have complete access, and by complete I mean stuff like this. It will have access to your SMS, to your emails, to your WhatsApp chats, to your photo gallery, video gallery. It can activate your microphone, hear you all the time, activate your camera, see you, record calls, GPS data, track your live location, track browser history as well. Now imagine all this information in the hands of the wrong people, people who could track, trace you down and have complete hold of your personal information. So this is how it works. But what makes Pegasus the most desired spy in the world? Let's look at the top 5 reasons of why Pegasus is so desired. Number one is because it works on this tech called zero-click technology. The most unique feature of Pegasus, which makes it so wanted, so powerful, is that the zero-click attack helps the spyware like Pegasus gain control over a device without human interaction or human error. So sample this. Earlier, you had to acquire the phone physically, attach a bug, and then you could hack into all the details, have complete access. Then came phishing tricks where you had to click on a link on your phone, and that is how it would penetrate your device. And now, zero click. All awareness we have shared with you in the earlier episodes of FYI as well, where we told you how to avoid these phishing attacks, how to keep away from clicking on these suspicious links. All of that with Pegasus is now pointless, because zero-click tech means a missed call, an SMS, a simple WhatsApp forward is enough to plant the spy. Reason number 2 is that perhaps what makes Pegasus so dangerous is that it is almost impossible to detect. It is designed to gain access to your device without your knowledge, and it is constantly working in the background, reading, listening, watching all your activities, but you will never know. So far, the only way of knowing if your phone has been targeted is by sending your phone for a digital forensics or a security lab analysis. In fact, The Guardian, which is part of the consortium reporting the possible list of these targets, quoted the man who actually runs the Amnesty International's Berlin-based security lab as saying that once a phone was infiltrated, Pegasus had more control over it than the owner himself. Number 3, Pegasus is not just impossible to detect, but it also self-destructs altogether. It will destruct itself. If it can't communicate with the hacker's control center for over 60 days, or if it detects that it's been installed on the wrong device or the wrong SIM card, it can simply deconstruct themselves. Number 4 is access to your entire phone and your entire life with it. Now, end-to-end encrypted apps don't stand a chance, as Pegasus attacks itself to what is called the kernel of the device, which, to give you sort of an analogy, there is sort of the heart of the operating system. Once that is infected, the entire system is compromised. And number 5, why Pegasus has been called as the ultimate spyware is that iOS, Android, or any other operating system, Pegasus can infect it all. Companies like Apple, Google, which market themselves on being the most secured networks, can be breached by Pegasus. Operating systems that keep fixing bugs, they have constant updates for you to ensure that their security wall is more difficult to breach. But Pegasus is reported at this point to have infected the latest versions of these operating systems as well, making it the most sophisticated attack ever seen. Now, this sounds dangerous, it is dangerous. Like I said, imagine that in the hands of the wrong people and what it can do to democracies, what it can do to human rights. All of that is a matter of huge concern. But today on the program, we've got some technical experts for you to try and understand how does this really work, and are there ways at this point for you, not everybody can be Edward Snowden, but are there ways for you to actually steer clear of any such attack, if at all? On the program, Jitin Jain has been part of our series of shows that we've done so far on trying to understand cybersecurity. We've got Saurabh Das with us. He's an investigative journalist, a columnist with The Quint, The Wire. He's a transparency activist. We've got Kanish Gaur with us. He's the founder for India Future Foundation. And we've got Amit Dubey back with us on the program as well. He is an ethical hacker. Jitin, let me come to you first. We've spoken about this at length. We spoke about steering clear of phishing. We talked about how the phone is always listening. But with Pegasus, is there any way out? Instead of going back to your phones which don't have any apps, which don't even have web on it, is that the only way one can steer clear of this infection called Pegasus?
A very simple answer would be no. Absolutely no way. There are two reasons, because in the past we had seen if anybody had to install a bug or a spy or a malware on somebody's phone, they either had to have the physical access to the phone, or they would send some sort of link which will trick a person to download, and then a malware could get installed. They might send a targeted phishing link, or there would be some way to make a user download some sort of malware or stuff. And this is what happened with phishing links or, rogue apps or malicious files, sent by email and all. But in the case of Pegasus, there is no user interaction which is required, which makes it one of the most dangerous cyber weapons in the world. Anything where no interaction is required. Okay. Yeah, so you would not even come to know, and, the missed call would disappear. So the first way of installing Pegasus, what we heard in 2019, was a WhatsApp missed call. You have a missed call on WhatsApp, even if you don't pick it up at middle of the night, your phone is infected and the missed call disappears. Now, people thought that WhatsApp had fixed that because WhatsApp is now filing a lawsuit against Pegasus, and they said they have fixed the bug. But the current expose by Washington Post, Amnesty International, Citizen Lab reveals that the operation of Pegasus continues. We don't know how they are operating on Android now, but they are able to infect the latest version, 14.2, as latest as in June, by a simple sending an iMessage. Even if you don't read it, even if you don't open it, your phone would be infected. So this, some people used to ask question, is iPhone more safer than Android? What do we do to protect ourselves? Should we install an antivirus? Whether you're on iPhone or Android, doesn't matter. Even if you have an antivirus or anti-malware, Pegasus would not be detected. And your phone would be turned into a spy phone, recording your surround sound, photos, cameras, and other things you've listed out. Yeah.
Right. Amit, as we look at these, I talked about these 5 reasons why it makes it so dangerous. It makes it more desirable and powerful as well. But there could be, there is a possibility, right, that other softwares or other spywares like Pegasus out there that we're not even aware about.
Yeah, for sure. There are many spywares in public.
Right. I thought you were on mute there.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So there are many such spyware in practice, and those are available in different platforms. Pegasus is considered most sophisticated because it exploits very, very specific kind of vulnerabilities. If you see the latest report of Amnesty International, they have identified 10 vulnerabilities, 10 types of vulnerabilities of iPhone, which they were able to through their forensic analysis, they could identify, like, these are the matches through which this attack vectors were used and eventually got successful. And they have investigated a list of mobile phones, which they say that they did it. And out of which, if I can notice one of this vulnerability, which is iOS on 14.6, which is the latest iOS version, and iPhone 12, they are, as Jatin has mentioned, they were able to exploit that phone as well through a single iMessage or a simple link. So I think these kind of vulnerabilities are normally available in a very, very secret groups. And though we get it in every week, but if suppose we need to buy this or purchase these kind of vulnerability, it is very, very costly. These are like,
so,
it's not
Amit,
available
as
easily.
This news actually came in, we had a statement from WhatsApp, we had a statement from Apple as well. Apple has a new tagline, remember, they say they stand for privacy. That's the whole point of the brand, point of having an Apple device altogether. So once they know that their latest update also does not work, is there a way in which they can fix the system, or we are all vulnerable as we speak?
No, it will be fixed. It will be fixed by tomorrow for sure. The problem is, most of these people, those who are actually investigated, they were actually being targeted in 2019 and 20. And the list includes the people, those are already exploited, and not of 2021 for sure. I didn't see any such person in 2021, but then the vulnerability is still there. So once it is out, it will be fixed. It happened in 2019 as well, when that particular vulnerability was exposed and identified through missed call. You were able to exploit a phone. Now this will also be fixed. The problem is, these kind of vulnerabilities will keep coming every now and then. Every week almost we got a new release, we got a new patch, and that is a common practice in security domain. So the problem, the question is that how can we protect us against that? So we need to understand the types of attack vectors, because once this kind of exploit is targeted to some mobile phone, they need to use some attack vector. And those methods, if we know, probably we can save ourselves. Otherwise, there's no such specific way through which you can protect.
Let me go to Kanishk at this point. Kanishk, what are your thoughts on where are we legally on this?
See, I think the lack of a data protection law in this country is the biggest problem today. I'll tell you the reason. We don't know how many agencies are surveilling us. We don't know how many agencies are actually snooping into a citizen's data. We don't have a clear-cut list of people who should be accessing their data. What kind of approvals are required for accessing this kind of information? In the name of national security, so many agencies are snooping into our personal communication, and there is no way to protect the privacy of a common man, right? So those are bigger issues. So we need to, like we have come out with intermediary guidelines, why can't Ministry of Electronics come up with guidelines saying that these are the agencies who are lawfully allowed to intercept communication or use search mechanisms for national security? That should clearly come out.
The responsibility of this also be on the apps, should be on the devices. I think Jitin wants to come in quickly, please.
No, I just want to correct here that after the Supreme Court judgment and the Telegraph Act, on the floor of Parliament in India, rules are very clear. There are 16 designated agencies who can conduct snooping and surveillance. But any law enforcement agency who wishes to conduct any surveillance has to seek the permission from the Home Secretary. And after he is satisfied, a record is maintained, reason is maintained, proportional, necessary, and for a time-durated extent. And that list is every month reviewed by the Cabinet Secretary of India. So a government agency turning rogue and carrying out such a massive unauthorized surveillance, in my opinion, is less likely. What appears to be a case, I think there are some unauthorized agents, maybe private operators, who are operating here. There are multiple players at play who are carrying out this unauthorized surveillance. So by saying that government ne karwaya hai, we might actually...
No, I get that, but I think what he's hinting at, what Kanishk is also hinting at, is the fact that the lack of any personal data protection. There is, I cannot go to court and say that, well, this has happened and
you can because if it is done by government, a record is maintained, it is approved by multiple levels, and it is maintained for years and years. Next government can come in and they can look why this person was taken on surveillance, what were the reasons. So there is a lack of parliamentary or judicial oversight, but yes, there is a very strong procedure in place in India itself. But yes, we need a judicial or parliamentary oversight now over the intelligence agencies. This is what we need, but the rules and procedures are there. Telegraph Act is very, very clear.
Can I just come in here?
Okay, so Jitin, answer this. I'll just come to you, Kanishk, and I know Amit is also waiting. Jitin, can I just ask you this? In a scenario, say, where the government says that they have not given access, and which is currently the stand as well, where are we legally then?
So there are two things. Suppose there is a list of 100 people. Let's assume government bought Pegasus. They are lawfully, authorized to do so. Every constitutional scheme of, a country has a independent intelligence agency for the survival of state. They will carry out snooping. But that list has to be authorized, maintained. Government turning, unless the, your home secretary, prime minister, your IB chief, your, every police commissioner in the state, constable, person running the sector, everybody has turned rogue in this country, then it is a different thing. But I don't think so. We are not at that stage. Country has a very robust accountability mechanism, but what is happening here are unauthorized players, maybe state police agencies, maybe foreign governments, maybe private players sitting in India, or political parties in government or opposition carrying out this unauthorized interception. So there may be a player which don't know about, because government ke andar se itne bade level pe unauthorized hoga, less likely. This is what Mr. Tharoor also said. This is what Rohini Singh is also saying. If it is not government, who? We need to find out.
Right. Saurabh hasn't made a comment yet. Please quickly, then I have to take a break.
Right. I was just pointing out that the records that are being maintained by the Home Ministry on all authorized surveillance orders that it passes are being destroyed after every 6 months. So these records are never out in public. Just recently, the Internet Freedom Foundation had also filed multiple RTI applications to find the total number of such orders being passed and reviewed, but it is not being revealed. So, and it is also the case that there is bureaucratic oversight. We know how the Babus function in this country.
Absolutely.
So I don't see that there's a robust mechanism in place in India for any sort of surveillance.
I think every judge is a babu, every minister, becomes the babu. Every government has human beings in place. But if we are to assume that everybody, right from the bottom to top, parliament to prime minister to bureaucracy, everybody has turned rogue, I think, exaggeration. अगर ऐसा करने से हम जिसने actually किया है, कोई private company हो सकती है, industrial house हो सकता है, we must not leave them. By blaming government, you are actually, giving others an escape route कि चलो ये तो government ने किया होगा, छोड़ दो. नहीं. अगर गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं किया तो गवर्नमेंट मस्ट फिगर आउट अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट.
Okay. Then let's just take a pause over there and let's hit a break. When we come back, I want to talk about a larger issue here, which is also about what are there other spywares like this out there, and if yes, is there a way that we can detect it? That's coming up on the other side. Welcome back. We are discussing and trying to decode this phenomena called Pegasus, and are there more out there? But mostly, I just want to go across to Amit Dubey right now and understand. Amit, could you give us an insight into what happens in these labs, where the one which is run by Amnesty, for example, where these phones, some of them were taken and they actually were able to decode that there was indeed a Pegasus infection?
So first of all, it requires a detailed forensic analysis of that mobile phone. We take the complete dump of that memory, and then we see the processes running at different times and the reactions, if the phone was hanged or phone was reacted abnormally. And if I can see this report, it is in front of me, and I can quote few of these points over here, because almost each and every kind of feature of an iPhone is probably being exploited here. Whether it is network injection attack, whether it is a malware through Apple images, whether it is through music, whether it is through iMessages. So you can see the list of exploits; those are there, and the date and time with the notified vulnerabilities. So I think this is a very detailed report, and if they have done this analysis, this is something which can definitely alert the iPhone manufacturers a lot, because I could see almost each and every kind of possible vulnerability over here, which was there, and some of these might be fixed, some of these may not be successful even, because sometimes when you do the forensic analysis, there might be a possible attack, but it was not successful. The traces could be there, though Pegasus kind of malware, it has a provision of deleting their traces, and it does not leave anything when it is successful. But sometimes if it is not successful...
So if you've been able to find a penetration, does that mean that the spyware is still active?
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Sometimes even if it is just a trial and it was not successful, you may find some traces. For example, URL redirections. You might have accessed a Yahoo page, but then it is redirected automatically to some other link. And because of that, some particular script was running in your mobile phone. Now, those kind of traces you may get, but that script was successful or not, that possibility will always be there because of the possible vulnerabilities. If it is vulnerable, then only it can be successful.
Once your phone is infected, it stays like that, right? Till the time sort of Pegasus decides that it has to sort of destruct itself. Until then, Pegasus just comes in on its own and goes out on its own.
Yeah, or unless and until you figure out that you're infected and you take the remedial measures. So I, on your show, want to make a little bit of, expose here that a very senior NDTV anchor, a journalist, Nidhi Razan, was targeted. Her devices were hacked several months ago, along with several other journalists and a couple of political leaders. We had assisted Ms. Razan in investigating the attack. We had done a forensic analysis of her devices, and we did figure out the role of a state-backed actor at play. In that particular case, those actors were located outside India. So I think these rogue operators have been operating here for long. Because I saw several people targeting, trolling, abusing Nidhi and just pushing the issue aside carpet. I think if we had invested those things seriously then, we could have, stop such things now. And so instead of having a political debate, I think we must seriously focus on taking remedial measures.
No, we're not having a political debate here on FYI at all. I'm just trying to identify. Right. I'm just trying to identify how it works. Is there a way out? And what I'm really, as a conclusion, I'm drawing out of this debate here today is that this is clearly not the end. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right?
And there is a way to stop Pegasus in India. There is a way to stop Pegasus in India. All the rogue domains which are mentioned in Amnesty report, tomorrow Indian government can decide to block all those domains from Indian gateways. So at least further exfiltration of data will stop. That is one way of protecting your citizens, very least we can do.
All right. So you're saying the government has the list right now, and if they decide to work on it, this can be done?
I mean, they may not have the complete list, but Amnesty has put out certain domains in their report. Domains can be blocked. At least those domains can be blocked.
All right. Fascinating details, gentlemen. I'm completely out of time. I have to leave it there. But let's try and deep dive into this a little more. But that's all we have for you on today's show. We'll see you again tomorrow.